Now, there really is no doubt in saying that by far one of the fan favorite characters within the Skywalker saga is no doubt Luke Skywalker, portrayed by Mark Hamill in the original trilogy. Now, as we saw in the sequel trilogy, this character had a lot of problems because of what Kathleen Kennedy and director Rian Johnson had allowed to be done in The Last Jedi, and how that had a negative impact on Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Disney Star Wars is that, yes, we do know that we are now in a phase of desperation that Disney's really trying to crawl out of. And they're getting closer to getting out of that hole, I will actually say, because with The Mandalorian Season 2 having a very good takeoff, a lot of fans are very happy with what they have seen in Episode 1. Some people had a couple of problems with Episode 2. I don't know if you guys have been in the loop, but a lot of people out there kept on saying that Episode 2 was quite boring. Others out there thought it was very exciting, but I digress. What's really interesting all has to do with actor Mark Hamill and Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy. Now, one thing about Kathleen Kennedy, guys, in case you guys did not know, is that she, at the end of the day, is pretty much powerless at this point. She really has only been working on the Leslie Headland Star Wars TV series, and that's it. And even within that project, she herself lost some creative control for the last 4 episodes of this 12-episode TV series that Leslie and other writers and directors are eventually going to be working on. Now, with that being said, everything related to Star Wars as we speak, a lot of new creators are being hired, a lot of changes are being made, and it's going to be a very interesting process. So with that being said, Lucasfilm, as of right now, is doing everything in their power in order to create a better future for the Star Wars universe, in order to make sure that the Star Wars fandom can experience an evolved version of Star Wars that will stay true to George Lucas. However, it's described that many changes are being made to Lucasfilm behind the scenes in order to make sure that Star Wars can be as best as it can actually be at the end of the day. However, at one point in time, recently during an interview, Mark Hamill was able to unveil a new truth about Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy when it came to Star Wars and the entire sequel trilogy. Mark Hamill revealed at one point in time that Kathleen Kennedy did not want the Skywalkers to be relevant in the sequel trilogy from the very beginning, and that even Mark Hamill was originally given a very big role, believe it or not, as Luke Skywalker in the original scripts for The Force Awakens, as Luke Skywalker in the second and third acts of the movie, and even had scenes in the first act that were being written until Kathleen Kennedy stepped in and decided to have little to nothing to do with Luke in Episode 7. Now let's stop right here for a second. Now the thing about Luke Skywalker is that a lot of fans were very upset with the fact that they really got little to no Luke in The Force Awakens. I mean, that was honestly the biggest thing that a lot of fans were looking forward to when it came to The Force Awakens, right? I can remember it clear as day. I mean, it was back in, I would say, the fall of 2014, right around when, the teaser trailer dropped. I think it was the day before or after Thanksgiving. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but right around there, a lot of fans were very, very excited about what Luke was going to look like, what was he going to do in the movie. I mean, everyone was looking forward to Luke because since they saw the Millennium Falcon, they knew that Han Solo was a given, then Luke was definitely going to be a big, prominent piece in the movie. That ended up being completely on the other end, where Luke pretty much only had a glorified cameo at the very end of Episode 7. Now, I'm not arguing against it necessarily. I do believe it would have been far better to have Luke have a prominent role in The Force Awakens, but the way it ended, at the very minimum, at least it gave us a lot to look forward to when it came to The Last Jedi. It kept the fans pretty much very much excited about what's to come in Episode 8. Think of it that way, is that movie really got you pumped up for Luke, and that's why The Last Jedi was such a disappointment, because of what The Force Awakens set up, how it really created so much pent-up energy and excitement that was just pretty much held in for 2+ years, until December of 2017 rolled around, where we saw Rian Johnson's take on Luke, and it just did not work. So moving on past this, alright, this is where things begin to really pick up, is that, well, Mark Hamill reveals that he often expressed his frustration and concerns for Luke Skywalker's character with Kathleen Kennedy, and she did not care about his concerns for Luke's character, and that Kennedy constantly ignored him when it came to Episode 7. Hamill went on to unveil that when it was all revolving around Episode 9, Kathleen Kennedy believed that Mark Hamill writing his own lines of dialogue would have been catastrophic to the movie, and that Hamill was very upset over the fact that Kennedy refused to let him improvise his own lines of dialogue, that director J.J. Abrams gave him permission to do so. Now, it's described that Hamill states that Kennedy actually thought that the lines he had written were not fit well for a movie and were at best very poorly written for the character of Luke, that Kennedy believed that Hamill writing his own dialogue was a disaster, so she refused to let him move forward with anything related to that. Let me stop right here. I mean, Hamill, at the end of the day, I think would have been an amazing addition of an actor to write his own lines of dialogue. That would have been, I think, a golden piece of Episode 9 and would have really, I think, given us a more legitimate version of Luke Skywalker, a version of Luke that a lot of fans would have pretty much connected to more in comparison to what we got in Episode 8. You know, I think that Mark Hamill writing his own dialogue would have been perfect. The fact that he was going to do that, and was doing that, mind you. A lot of scenes were just deleted by Kathleen Kennedy, and she just was not having it. So, once again, I mean, I feel bad for Hamill, what he actually had to go through. And that's not the end of it. So, past all of this, further, it's described that Hamill explained that Kennedy had almost fired co-writer Chris Terrio, of all people, for challenging Kennedy to actually keep Kennedy from firing actor Matt Smith connected to the film. Hamill reveals that Chris Terrio was protecting Matt Smith, who was an original actor to portray a major role in the movie. Though Hamill would not unveil who Matt Smith was going to play, through the leaks, Smith was actually set to portray the dark acolyte that would be possessed by Palpatine's spirit. You guys may very well recall that Matt Smith's name was actually in the cast on the actual websites, including the United States website of the of the Rise of Skywalker. And then suddenly one day, a lot of fans woke up, checked out those sites, be it from France or Germany or whatever it was, you know, the United States, all these different countries in there. His name was gone, just wiped off the face of the earth, just missing. And it really left a lot of fans wondering what in the world happened to Matt Smith's role in Episode 9 of all things, right? Now that absolutely explains as to why this movie went a little over budget, is because Kathleen Kennedy initiated so many reshoots and so many rewrites that they didn't even quite meet the box office results of Episode 8, and that really does tell you something as to why Kathleen Kennedy and her power was stripped away by the new Disney CEO. Now, Hamill unveils that Kathleen Kennedy erased around half the amount of scenes that he had filmed for the film that contained flashbacks and some pretty amazing sequences and shots for the netherworld of the Force that would have given fans a first glimpse into this mysterious realm of the franchise. Kennedy since has been working on the Leslie Headland Star Wars TV series for Disney+, which is already running into some issues as we speak, and that Hamill expressed that he had a pretty troublesome experience working on the set of Episode 9 with Kathleen Kennedy, that he would never do it again for a feature film. Honestly, I gotta congratulate Mark Hamill on that. The fact that he stepped away from anything substantial in Star Wars. Yes, he has been in the talks with Jon Favreau to do something quite incredible for The Mandalorian, but that's just about it, besides doing voiceovers for the Rise of Skywalker sequel series that we've been talking about. Anything besides that, Mark Hamill really doesn't want to be a part of. And that just really does tell you exactly how ticked off he really got as an actor, and how Kathleen Kennedy really treated him at the end of the day, right? So, where does this lead us? Well, this leads us in the transitionary phase. We really are witnessing Lucasfilm changing with their new projects, developing spin-off TV shows even now that are going to be connected to The Mandalorian and more. So, like I've said before in the past, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
night to